We're back with Thompson to Clark. Brad Evans here with me, Double G. And, this is the kind of week where you look so much forward to doing this show. White hot Giants. They're moving up in everybody's power rankings. They passed the Dodgers for second place in the NL East. They have an opportunity to add some length to their lead above the Padres in the division. And then the Diamondbacks are on deck as well. So things are looking good right now. Giants baseball is fun. Hum Baby 2.0. What's up?
I every week I make predictions, right, of how we're going to do in the week, and occasionally I'll get ballsy and I'll say 6-0 or whatever the week is, 5-0. I didn't do predictions this week, Garrett, and we ended up having a 7-0 week. And when we say a week, it's between our podcasts. So
yeah, basically,
yeah.
Since we last recorded,
exactly. So 7-0 week. So I will never do predictions again because if I don't do predictions, we're gonna be in good shape here the rest of the season.
And it wasn't just a week in which I think are they're 8-game right now, 8-game winning streak.
Yeah, 8-game winning streak because it started on Sunday, not this past Sunday, but the Sunday before. With the last game, was that in the Cubs series? I think it was. Yeah. So they had lost 2 out of 3 to the Cubs, and then they just went on the tear. Went to St. Louis, went to L.A., came back home, took it to the Padres. I keep saying they took it to the Padres. These victories
kind
are
of stolen from the Padres.
Yeah, they're all a lot of these victories are come from behind victories. But when you have an 8-game winning streak, they're not all going to be hey, the Giants went out to a 4-0 lead and never relinquished it,
except that one game where they spanked the Dodgers.
Well, that one you print that box score and put it up on the wall, because anytime you could do that to your rival, and especially a team you wanted to pass, you go in there and sweep and you pass them in the standings and take over second place, and that's what they did. So that was like a dream, because earlier in the season, everything that's been going on with this team in March and April, a little bit into May, we were like, who is this team? What is it? Who are we cheering for?
Yeah.
Nobody's showing up to the games. So,
yeah. This team, all of a sudden, thanks to this 2-game series that they swept, and I think that's what's most impressive is you go into St. Louis. Now St. Louis is not hot. They're the opposite of what the Giants are right now. They're fumbling around. But then you go into L.A. Now, L.A. Dodger fans will say, well, we're not playing good and this team's not good. Still, for a Dodger team, very respectable baseball team.
Oh, yeah.
And to go in and go on the road and win those games like that was really, really impressive. But thing about it is they are barely above a 500 team at home. So what we need as fans is we need them to buckle down this week and really start playing like a really good home team, because that could just extend the hotness that they're playing. Like I said, Padres and it's a 4-game series, so they're going to know each other very well by Thursday. And then the Diamondbacks are the cream of the crop right now in the National League West. They are in first place ahead of the Giants by 3.5 games, ahead of the Dodgers by 4.5. And they are the second best team in all of the National League based on record. And they're just behind Atlanta. And, I didn't know this. Miami is has the third best win-loss record in the National League. Where did that come from?
Yeah, that's one of those ones that you just wonder, is that going to hold up? Are they going to start trading away players? Are they going to start their rebuild? They're kind of the A's of the National League, because they do like to kind of break up the band when things are going well, because they sell their hot commodities and try to get youth, controllable youth. They have a lot of controllable youth right now. So now is when you kind of ride it out. So I'm kind of interested to see what goes on there. They have a lot of good pieces, and Jazz has been out for a while. Jazz Chisholm with a foot injury, and he's just starting rehab assignment fairly soon. So
MLB the show cover jinx.
I don't know, man, but I've seen it on the subreddit that is this possibly the worst the show cover athlete that they've ever had? I mean, when you look at his stats in the game and everything else, like, come on, man. The guy, they didn't pick him because he was a 50 home run guy. They picked him because he was flashy, and baseball is heading into a new generation, a new iteration of itself, trying to kind of transform and kind of market itself towards the youth, and that's mainly why they went with Jazz. I enjoy watching him. He's an exciting player. So when he comes back with the Marlins, the Giants have another contender to deal with when it comes to not only looking towards the postseason, but everybody's kind of jockeying for those 1, 2, and 3 wild card spots right now, which is fun to watch. I know it's in June, and I don't care. It's a long season. If you sit there and say, well, I'm not going to pay attention to the standings until September, then what the heck are you watching? It's what we do. You look at it and you go, hey, we're 1 up on the Dodgers after winning last night. The Dodgers didn't play. Now we're 1 up. That's what you do. You look at the standings. You enjoy each day as it comes.
The other part of the other reason why Jazz was chosen, in addition to being a young and fun player, is there's a heavy Negro Leagues vibe in the game. And Jazz's grandmother, I think they said, like, played in was it in like is either hardball or softball league until she was in her 60s. And so she had a heavy influence in Jazz picking up a baseball. So yeah, there's a little bit of lineage there for him as well. And I have no problem with him being the cover, because because you said, he's just a fun player, and he's just having a bad year, but hopefully he could still pick it up. But the reason why I brought up the Marlins is because, we're here sitting going like, oh wow, Giants are hot, 8-game winning streak, and the Giants are hot. That is a correct thing to say. Atlanta, 6-game winning streak. Marlins, 5-game winning streak. Phillies, 6-game winning streak. Cincinnati Reds, all of a sudden in first place based off of a 9-game winning streak. So teams are streaky right now in baseball. The Houston Astros, 5-game losing streak. The LA Dodgers, a 3-game losing streak. Colorado, 6-game losing streak. Nationals, 4-game losing streak. So, Pittsburgh, 7-game losing streak.
Yeah.
So for whatever is going on in the water, its teams are either streaking positively or negatively. And thankfully for the Giants, they're on that positive side. Now, I know this is my thing. A lot of people don't live and die by this run differential thing. But if you do, Giants lead the NL West in run differential. Some of it thanks to that game against the Dodgers where they just routed the hell out of them. Atlanta is still the best in the National League, but that would make the Giants number 2. But Atlanta's head and shoulders above run differential in the National League. So Giants are in really good company right now. I think most people still believe the Dodgers are the better team. Diamondbacks, we'll see. I think the series this weekend will say a lot about both teams, really, because now the Giants have some pitching situations going on that they're gonna tax the pen again. But let's talk about some of the latest things that have happened. And I think the most exciting thing to happen, and we'd been talking about this like the last 2 or 3 weeks, is when is Luis Matos coming up? And lo and behold, unfortunately, and I said this to somebody on YouTube when we had originally posted our short piece as a clip on YouTube from one of our shows. What's gonna how long can the Giants keep Luis Matos in the minors? I think was basically our sentiment. And one of the watchers, the viewers, said, "Well, here are a couple ways that he can come up." And I said, it may just take like an injury, like a fluke injury, to get him up. And so I jinxed Mitch Haniger. I really apologized. This is me apologizing to Mitch Haniger and Mitch Haniger's family. But that's how I assumed he was going to debut, was just on some fluky injury. Now, I didn't think it was going to be an injury that would cost Haniger all or most of this season. So I hope Mitch does get better sooner than later, because he's going to help if he does. but that's kind of what it was going to take because they paid for a lot of these vets that they want to see out on the baseball field, and Matos was going to need something like that to happen. It happened. He's here. You've seen him now for 4 games. What do you think?
I think he's fantastic. I think he fits in really well. He's not going to be your power guy. I mean, when he came up in a situation last night where you're thinking, oh, he could hit a walk-off home run, he's probably not going to. He's not going to be your power hitter, but he's going to be your Chili Davis type of guy. He's going to be your guy who, can knock the ball around the field, run well, fantastic on the base paths, get on base. I think Chili Davis break bats over his knee?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
He was
I
one
don't
of the
think Matos
first.
is going to be that. Yeah, he was. Matos isn't going to be that guy because when you look at him up there, he's a little dude. He's not a
Yeah.
big guy.
Yeah.
But his I think and Grant Brisbee had an article in the Athletic. He said something about I actually took the quote right here. Let's see. Yeah, he had swung at, I think, let's see, here it is. Luis Matos has seen 41 pitches out of the strike zone since debuting in the majors, and he's swung and missed at one of them. And he put that clip in his article too, the one swing and miss, and it was on an 0-0 pitch, first pitch of the at bat, and it was on a fastball that was just off the plate. So, went chasing at a pitch that was a little bit outside, but that's it. So he's going to be your guy who kind of sets the table. He's batting 9th right now, and I think tonight he's even batting 9th again. If they can get him up a little bit higher in the lineup, I think that would be fantastic. But I think what they look at that too is now with the DH, you kind of look at that 9th spot as a turnover, the batting order. I got to look at the lineup tonight because I want to see. Exactly.
By the way, so this game will begin pretty much right as we finish here. But Lamont Wade Jr. was supposed to start. He had right side tightness, which is basically the same injury that Brad and I wake up with every single morning. So Lamont, we understand your pain, brother.
For us, pick a side. I mean, left side, right side, back side, front side. It doesn't matter. There's tightness somewhere. So Jock Peterson is your leadoff hitter now tonight. Let's see. Matos is batting 6th tonight. He was batting 9th last night. But he's going to be your guy. He's going to be your Robbie Thompson type of guy where you can get him up in the number 2 spot in the order. He's going to get on base for you. He's going to see a lot of pitches. He's not going to swing and miss. So in a situation where you need him late in the game to keep the line moving, he's going to be that guy. I mean, just watching him, fantastic outfield. His defense is fantastic. A lot of fun to watch. Small sample size so far, and we've only had a small sample size in AAA. This was a guy everybody talks about just going into this season, going into this offseason last year. Were they even going to put him on the 40-man roster? And here he is, like a major part of this 2023 Giants team. Not even a major part, but just a major identity. The kids. Like you call it, the Hum Baby 2.0. This is, these kids, I said, on Twitter the other day, this 1986 Giants team is a blast to watch. I mean, it's like perfect mix of veterans and youth and having that youth injection. And that's what Yaz said in the post game last night after his walk-off. Laura Britt asked him, what is it that has changed? What has got you guys back on track? And he said, just we never doubted ourselves. And he kind of danced. Right? It was the perfect answers. We never doubted ourselves. We knew our ability. We kept playing ball. And then he paused for a second and he said, and then watching these young guys play, the injection of youth, us old guys start now playing like young guys. And so, I mean, that plays a huge part because, again, the beginning of the season, we kept saying, this team is rough to watch. It's just a bunch of old guys kind of out there trying to carry the torch, trying to do what they can to keep things going, and just waiting for the youth to come up. Last year was such a bad year for the Giants minor league system. So to see these guys come up, and Bailey and Schmidt and Matos and win, and then maybe someday soon Kyle Harrison, it's
We'll
just
talk about that one in a second.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so fun to watch. You start looking forward to games again. And then, anytime Luis Matos comes up to the plate, I stop because I want to watch this guy's plate discipline. And then when Casey Schmidt is up, it's the exact opposite. I want to see him hack at something that he's going to get over the plate, run into a fastball, and hit a jack like you haven't seen before. Patrick Bailey.
Why would anyone throw him a strike, by the way?
No idea. But in the ninth inning last night, his command of the strike zone in that at bat was absolutely fantastic. His second walk of the season. I don't know how many at bats he's had so far, but his second walk of the season was just awesome. So, kept the line moving. And then you see Patrick Bailey come up. I think May 17th, he was called up since then. He is second in the league in throwing out base runners. And we've seen two awesome, Mookie Betts and Fernando Tatis Jr. You're talking about like the faces of baseball, threw both of those guys out at third base in the span of like 3 nights.
Yep.
I don't know. I'm excited. I don't know if you could tell. I'm very excited. This team is fun to watch again, and it's pretty awesome.
I'm going to give a comparison of Luis Matos that initially people are going to go like, how can you even compare these guys? But I'll explain myself here in a second. Okay. Luis Matos is the offensive player version of Tim Lincecum. And here's what I mean. Okay. Tim Lincecum, 5'11", 170 pounds. He was a whirlwind of legs and hips and whip to be able to throw the baseball as hard as he did. It was almost like a miracle that he could bring it so hard with such a small frame. Usually you go, oh, Matt Cain, 6'3", 220. He's like a horse. He's a beast. Yeah, that guy could throw 95. That makes sense. And then you have Lincecum come in and, he looks like he should be on a gymnastics mat instead of on a pitcher's mound because he's got so much crazy flexibility. He could just do a backflip and, land on his feet and just so much balance. But he was able to, because he was such a great athlete, he was able to get the most out of his body to throw that baseball. And when I watch Luis Matos hit, he doesn't have a giant stride. He doesn't wind up in his swing to swing it as hard as humanly possible. He must have tremendous wrist strength because he sees a ball and he whips the bat around. And one of the things that Roger Munter was writing about was his exit velocity. Like everything he hits really, really hard. And I don't know, he's not built like the next 40 home run hitter. But as he grows a little bit, you don't want him to put on tons of weight because he's a really good athletic build. But could he become somebody like a Mookie Betts, who's not a giant human? He's just a really, really, really good baseball player from the right side. Maybe so. But I just find the dynamic athlete piece of this to be so compelling. And you look at the guy, he looks like a kid out there.
Yeah.
Right? He's skinny. You can tell he's really young, the way his body moves. He looks like somebody who should be playing in college right now, but instead, he's been in the pros for probably since he was like 17 or 18. And now you're seeing a true professional who's grown through the minor league ranks and who's been, given the tools and the training and the coaching to really allow the skill set and the talent to just permeate. And it's been so fun to watch. And the other thing that is so cool, the Giants have one of the best closers in the game, Camilo Doval. I don't know what Doval's English is like, but he's has to communicate with his teammates. He's got to communicate with his coaches. So I'm sure he's picked up some English here and there. Matos, I don't know his command of the language either, but the Giants historically have had non-English speaking players who have come through the ranks and have excelled. They seem to have been a real good landing spot for Latin players and even those who are, they don't speak the language. And I really love that because it just shows you how good, how it shows you the thought that is in bringing in players from different communities, different lifestyles, different countries. And it all sort of comes back to this thing that we saw. So the Dodgers had Pride Night, and a lot of Major League Baseball, I think a lot of the fans are really open to the idea of having a Pride Night. Did you know the Texas Rangers are still the only team that does not have a Pride Night?
No,
and I was reading this.
Not surprised.
Yeah, not surprised. I was reading the article, and just they're explaining their stance why, and but it just inclusivity is not just different types of sexual choices and things. It is also adapting your team to non-English speaking players and making their opportunity as easy as possible. So when I see somebody who is from a different country and who's landing on this team, I'm just like, wow, like they must have a really good system that allows these players to communicate and allows these players to make sure that they can be comfortable in these scenarios, especially someone who is 21 years old. It's really amazing to me that he can come in and same with Duvall. Duvall's probably in his mid-20s now, but he's a baby when he comes up in 2020 or whatever it was. And I just like that about this team. It makes me proud of the Giants organization that they have a process built in for these players to be able to come in and succeed at such a young age. So I love it. I don't know if this is different from other teams. I'm sure there are a lot of non-English speaking players playing for other teams, but to see them rely on their system and they've built in, whatever the process is to make this landing spot comfortable. I really appreciate that. So I'm super excited to see him. And Luciano is coming. We know that. Tyler Fitzgerald at some point this year may be needed. He's shortstop, and they've been playing him in center field a little bit of late. And let's mention our guy, Kyle Harrison, because we've been talking about him for a long time now. And Kyle Harrison is back in the discussion because so Alex Wood is back from the injured list. He came up for the Dodgers series, so he was able to pitch. And then Alex Cobb had to go on the injured list, and Scott Alexander had to also go on the injured list. And so the idea was, maybe this is where Harrison comes up. Now, they didn't do that. Instead, they brought back Sean Jelly. So Sean Jelly is back on the roster. He's probably going to be the long man. I don't know if that means Manea gets a start or they just keep doing this thing where every third game is a bullpen game where you start the opener and then you bring in, the guy who's going to throw 4 innings after that. But so now people are saying, well, what about Harrison? I would imagine, and I don't know who wrote this. It may have been Roger, but I think the idea was if, he could get through that 80 pitch count and he could really minimize the walks and he could get through that 5th inning. And I think he did that in his last start.
Yeah.
And I imagine, they're looking for him to do that consistently a few more times. And then I think he's got to be in the conversation.
Yeah. I do think so. And don't forget too, Brebbia also. I don't know if you mentioned him, but he's also
Brebbia.
on the IL.
And it sounds like he's more hurt than we even realized, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, when you look at it, he's pretty much been a starter the past month or so. He's the Giants opener. If he can go 1 or 2 innings, then they kind of bridge the gap there with Sean Jelly, Sean Manea, all the Seans. We're just collecting all the Seans. And then you also throw in Keaton Wynn now, who's kind of bridging the gap as well. So the bullpen is kind of rested. But I talked about this. I don't remember if it was last week or the week before, but I think I kind of look at it. So Keaton Wynn and Kyle Harrison, because they're young, they're going to be on innings counts. They're going to be on, total pitch counts on the season. So you can almost kind of look at those two guys as kind of the two-headed monster. So I think once Kyle Harrison is ready, there's a chance that Keaton Wynn goes back down, maybe takes a week off or so from throwing. Kyle Harrison comes up, does his innings, and then you can kind of interchange those guys back and forth. Are they going to be the same type of pitcher? I don't. Keaton Wynn was fantastic last night. I don't know if they're going to be the same type of pitcher. Kyle Harrison has way more upside than Wynn does. So if you're looking at between those two guys, that's who you want in the long run is Kyle Harrison. But again, when you get to September, you're going to have to shut these guys down. So I think the Giants are going to be extremely careful with kind of slowly stretching these guys out. If you can get them to pitch into September, fantastic. If you have to have both of them pitch into September, then some bad things have happened to your pitching staff because you still have Ross Stripling, who's on the IL. He's another guy who could eat innings in the middle of games when you use an opener. So it's just kind of a weird situation right now. We're used to it. I mean, we've seen this the last couple of years, not so much last year, but the year before. The Giants were very big on the opener. They're all about the opener. If they have to have a bullpen game, they will have a bullpen game. But I feel like right now it's like 40% of the games are bullpen games. That's a lot. But having guys like Manea and Wynn to kind of bridge that gap and eat up, 4 or 5 innings in the middle of a ball game is fantastic. DeSclafani goes tonight. By the time you're listening to this, he will already have pitched. I'm hoping he goes 6 or 7 innings because if he only goes 4, his last outing, he only went 3.
Yeah.
Then you're using up more of the bullpen.
Yep.
Then you got the Arizona series coming up. So if the Giants can really kind of stretch out their starters a little bit the next couple of games, that'd be great. But like I said, I think Kyle Harrison is going to be one of those guys who's going to come up. I don't think he's going to be like an every 5th day starter. He's not going to come up and get shoved right into the rotation. I think he's going to kind of get his feet wet in middle innings, like Keaton Wynn is doing. And then next year he's going to be fighting for, a 5-man rotation spot.
Mm-hmm.
You could have Manea, you could have Stripling, both. Although at this point, I don't see either of them opting out with the deal that they have. But there is always that possibility they could opt out.
It may need to be one of those, hey, I see that you're kind of deciding whether you're going to, stay with us or opt out. Just want to let you know, if you do re-sign, we have a deal in place. Headed, Nationals really interested. Either the 2 teams, Nationals and the A's, they really like you guys.
Oof.
And so, just to let you know, just in case, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, there's a good chance they would opt out at that point, 100%.
So you mentioned Ross Stripling. He has started his rehab assignment with the Orange Rookie League Giants.
There you go.
So that was last week. I haven't heard anything else since. So no update as far as I can tell. I haven't read Roger's latest update that he sent out today. So there might be information there. But yeah, the team is winning baseball games, but they do have their work cut out for them because of the injuries. David Villar is back up, and he screwed up a bunt play that made me yell at him through the TV screen about how much he's a quadruple A player, like I've done in the past. But not that I root against him, just that I can only measure him for what he's doing. I can't measure him for what I want him to do. So the team is doing really well, and that is the latest on your San Francisco Giants. I'm going to do this now because we forgot last week, which is the player of the week. Now, when you tweeted this out today, I was like, wow, there are probably a bunch of guys to pick from because the week was so strong. And you settled on who?
I settled on, all right. So I could have put Lamont Wade Jr. in this poll. I could have put, I could have put Logan Webb. I was debating Logan Webb. I always like to pick like either two pitchers and a hitter, or two hitters and a pitcher, depending on how the week went. Well, the week was great kind of all around for everybody. So I ended up settling on three players. This was almost the week I went with four, but I didn't want to dilute the pool and dilute the poll results. So Camilo Duvall was on here. He came in tied for last place out of the three players. He pitched in 5 innings, in 5 games, in 5 innings this week, 3 saves, 5 strikeouts, and 1 earned run. He did walk 5 in those 5 innings pitched. I did not put that on there. I don't like to highlight the bad stuff because, he had 3 saves, and he still looked like Tranquilo Camilo. So he was pretty chill on the mound. So I didn't want to throw the walks because the walks didn't really hurt him this week. He only gave up 1 earned run. Brandon Crawford tied for last place. I say last place. There's only 3 players. He had a 170 WRC plus, 529 batting average, 5 ribs, 5 runs scored, and a really minuscule 8% K rate. So he was getting on base, putting the ball in play. Coming in first place, our hero of the week, Baby Yaz, Mike Yastrzemski, 207 WRC plus, 308 batting average, 4 home runs, 10 ribs, 9 runs scored. And of those 4 home runs, one of them in St. Louis tied the ball game in the 9th with down to their last strike. And then another one of those, or 2 more of those 4 home runs were last night against the Padres. One of them, the game winner, the walk-off splash hit. That is your Thompson to Clark player of the week, Mike Yastrzemski.
Much deserved. Now, there's probably a little bit of recency bias in that because everybody saw the home run to win the game last night. And what's funny is we were chatting, all of us, me, you, Brian, and JJ, were all watching at the same time. And because of how streaming television works these days, we don't know who's ahead, who's behind. We're not all watching the same feed. So sometimes,
true, and I forget about that.
Sometimes we'll say something and then one of us will have not seen it yet, but it's not, we're not doing it to, to be jerks. Right. We're just, because that's just what we saw.
We're excited. Yeah.
And so, they're losing 4-0. And I'm just kind of checking in on the Sports Alerts app. I'm just, every 20 minutes or so, I'm just checking the box score, and I'm like, 4-0. This may not be their night. And then I came back, it's like, 4-2. And then I get the thing. I think it was Pavlovich. He tweeted that heading into the 9th inning, and the Padres would be without their closer, Josh Hader. And I thought, they may have a chance here because Hader's been lights out this year.
Yes.
And so I checked back in, and I'm following on the app, and now I'm following like every pitch, and all of a sudden they tie the game, and I text you, and I'm just like, oh my God. You're like, you text me and you go, oh my gosh, this team. And I was just kind of like laughing, like I can't believe they came back. And so at that point, wife went to bed, kids are in bed, so I just jammed downstairs to turn the game on. And I'm watching this game. All of us are watching this game, and Yastrzemski comes up, bags are loaded, and the pitcher, Kerr, I forget his first name. His last name was Kerr. Threw hard, mid-90s, righty, and they had actually had him finish the inning before, so he's going out into the 10th. It was his second inning. And so bags are loaded, and he had struck out Peterson, Jock, in the inning before, by throwing an accidental get me over fastball that Jock just missed. Like Jock swung out of his jock strap. And so he goes, I think it was 3-1 on Yaz. And I typed to everybody and I said, if I'm Yaz, I'm looking for the mistake fastball he got away with against Jock. And that's the exact pitch he throws. Yaz turns on it so effortlessly. Like he didn't even swing hard. It was such a beautiful swing. The pitch was right over the plate. The ball just majestically goes into the water, and it was game over. And I was just like, wow, you could almost see that coming because we've been watching how things have been falling for the team. Like, when you're on a win streak, you also need to be lucky. And the Giants have been lucky in this win streak. And so, all of a sudden Hader's not ready. Like he can't pitch tonight. And that would have probably been the end of the winning streak. But, thankfully for us, they have to go to this young pitcher. And he's just like, it's 3-1. Bags are juiced. I kind of got it. Or I don't know. I don't remember. The bags weren't juiced, was it?
No. You had runner at first and second.
Yeah, first and second. And he's just like, I'm going to challenge this dude. And boom. And it was just so great to see. That was we've had 2 home runs like that where you just like laugh. And that first one was Sable against the Cards. Yes. When you're just like, it was against Helsley, right?
Yes.
And you're just like, oh my God, I can't believe this. Ha ha ha. And this is the same one. And you're just like, wow, this is great. It's fun.
Yeah. I felt that way last year too with the 3 home run game from Jock Peterson. Mm-hmm. And that extras against the Mets where he hit that I think he hit the 3rd home run. Yeah, it was a walk-off. He hit the 3rd home run that was a walk-off, and it was just like, man, this unbelievable. You just, like you said, you just start laughing. You're like, man, I can't believe that this run that the Giants have had with walk-offs, with crazy win streaks over the last 3 seasons. Again, it's such a mixed feeling here for a lot of Giants fans, but you got to give props to Kapler. I mean, some of the moves he makes when they lose, it's so easy to scrutinize. And we did this with Baker. We did it with Bochy too. I mean, there were times where you're like, Bochy, you're killing the bullpen, man. You're going out there and you're throwing Sergio Romo like 5 days in a row, and poor little Sergio Romo's arm's gonna fall off, man. We did it with all of the managers, and people, bash on Kapler, but man, during this 8-game win streak and during the last 3-4 seasons, he's just made the moves, and when the moves are made and they come through, you look at it and you go, okay, I mean, analytics work, and there's certain situations where it backfires, but it's not going to be 100%. Tell me anything in baseball that's 100%, other than the A's sucking. I had to throw that in. But
shots fired.
Shots fired. I feel bad. They're leaving town. Sorry, A's fans.
Well, they're moving closer to you.
Yeah, well, I don't. Well, actually, they're moving farther from me, which is goofy. They're only 4 hours away from me right now, and they're going to be 7 hours away.
Oh yeah, that's right.
They'll be in the same state, and I'll have to pay for their stadium, even though I don't want to. That's a whole other story. But yeah, I mean, give the props to Kapler, give the props to Farhan.
Yeah.
The moves are being made. The trust the process is happening. So if you're a Giants fan, I honestly think it's time to get all in. Show up at the stadium. Buy the beer, buy the popcorn, buy the garlic fries, go crazy. Start to, because again, the atmosphere last night was insane. It felt like an October game where the Giants are, battling for a playoff spot late in the season, late September, early October. So it's fun to watch. I want to see that. I really hope we kind of get the same type of crowd tonight and the rest of the week, and really hope we get the same type of crowd for the Arizona series. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, so the Giants they're in town this week, and then they go to Toronto, of all places, and New York to face the Mets. next week. And then when they come back, it's the Mariners for 3 and then the Rockies for 3. I'm going to try to figure out if I can go to one of those Rockies weekend games because I'm doing this in real time here. I'm looking at my schedule.
Are you not able to get to a weekend game this weekend against the D-backs?
No, it's going to be a little
No.
harder. So
Yeah.
the reason why I was eyeballing that weekend is because so my wife, she leaves for a trip to visit some family on the 25th, so this Sunday. And then she's going to be gone until Friday. Then she comes back, and then she's home for a weekend or a day maybe, and then she leaves again to go take her kids or take my stepkids to North Carolina to visit their grandparents, and she likes to hang out with them too. So she's going to hang out there for a little while. So from the second would be not this Sunday, but next Sunday through the 14th, she's going to be gone. And the Giants are in town that 7th, 8th, and 9th. And that leads us right into the All-Star break. So
Yeah.
I think I'm going to circle either that Saturday or Sunday as a possible game to finally get to, because I have not been to one at all this season yet. I would love to see the Mariners just because they're the Mariners. But being a weeknight or a Tuesday, God, can I go to Tuesday?
Yeah, that's 4th of
July. Yeah,
that's probably already sold out, I would imagine. Oh no, it shows tickets are available.
Yeah, tickets are available. So that's what I'm going to circle. I'm gonna go to that one of those Rockies games. The Sunday would be the Jock Peterson bobblehead.
There you go.
Though the Saturday, Hello Kitty Day.
Hey, that'd be a good one. Not for you. I mean, I guess you can get Hello Kitty stuff and then put them on eBay.
Yeah, or my stepdaughter might like Hello Kitty stuff.
There you go. Yeah.
All right. We are 42 minutes into the show, so let's quickly get to what we are drinking. And I've been really good. Like I have more than half of my drink still available. That just means I've probably been talking too much.
So I've worn it down a little bit, but I've been trying to drink water because I am just allergy ridden the past couple of days. It's been a blast. Oh yeah, it's bad here. Lots of wind. Yeah. Anytime you get wind in the Truckee Meadows in the spring, you can forget about it for like 2 or 3 days. Just pretty much, keep the Allegra nearby, drink lots of water, stay hydrated. So I've been doing that, but so I've been sipping on my drink. I went with a little Elijah Craig tonight, the small batch.
There you go.
94 proof. This was a gift from my boss for Christmas.
Oh yeah, nice.
See how long it takes me to drink bourbon? I guess because I have like probably 13 bottles.
I know.
So it's a rotation, but yeah. So I went with 2 ice cubes today because I was a little bit warm, so I wanted to kind of cool myself down, and I've been sipping on that bad boy tonight.
It's great. Sounds great. Looks great. So before I even say what I'm drinking, it was for Father's Day. My wife ordered me something, and she's like, "Well, it's not here yet. It's supposed to be here soon, but I'll show you the email." I off the top of my head now, I can't remember what the service is called, but basically, it was a 3-month subscription service for Scotch. So I will be receiving for June, July, and August 3 bottles that I will share on this podcast for when we do this segment. And I can't wait to see it because it's always fun. You get, I have no idea what it is, and I'm sure they're going to share a lot of information about it, and I'll be able to share the information here. So, and once I figure out what the service is, if it's actually really good, I'll mention it on air if folks are interested too. But for me, this time, I was at the grocery store, and whenever I see anything new in bourbon or Scotch, I'm kind of interested. And look, it's Safeway. It's not going to be, unless they're gonna put the good stuff behind the lock and key.
Oh yeah.
But it was essentially a $40 bottle that was on sale for like 32 bucks. And the brand is called Glen Morangi.
Oh yeah.
And
Glen
it is
Morangi. I like
the
their stuff.
Morangi. So
Yeah.
it is the lower end. It is their 10-year. I think they have like 18 is their top, and that's probably goes for over $100. And then they kind of go down a little bit. This one is their bottom end, but I tried it the other day straight, and I didn't really like it straight. And I was like, it's kind of a bummer. I'm not going to want to drink this. And I was like, you know what? Let me drink it with some ice and see if I like it. And I do like it much better with ice, which is kind of funny because most of the really good scotches that I like to drink them neat. They are so much better for me neat.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason with this one, I liked it better on with the rock. So, but yeah, I'm glad that I figured out that this is the way that I like it, because then I'll eventually drink it. I won't just push it to the side and let it sit next to some of these other scotches or whiskeys that I've bought that I would like. Oh, this is not fantastic.
Yeah, and that's what they always say too. Is the debate is, do I put an ice cube in it? Do I add water? Do I this? Do I that? You know what? They always say the best way to drink it is the way that tastes good to you.
Yeah.
That's all that matters. I mean, if there was a certain way to drink it, I think the makers would put that on the bottle. Otherwise, they want you to drink it. They want you to buy it and say, well, you know what? Like Elijah Craig, 2 ice cubes in it, because for me, it's a little too casky. I
Mm.
mean, a little too woody and kind of, I taste the alcohol in the Elijah Craig more than I do in any other bourbon. But if I put 2 ice cubes in it, it is a fantastic drink. And I really enjoy it. So that's what I do with this one. Sometimes I'll even, mark it on the back of the bottle with a pen, like 2 cubes, just so I remember, okay, that one is this one is this one is this. Yeah. Drink it the way you like to drink.
All right. So, we kind of laid out the week already. We don't have to do too much more about what we're looking forward to about the team this week. Other than just to say, like, this is a great opportunity. If you haven't been able to watch the Giants a lot and you're kind of hearing about Matos and you're hearing about Bailey and you're hearing about Schmidt, it's going to be a good opportunity to see them play because they're hot. People are excited. Hopefully the crowds will pick up, especially this weekend, and check them out. Even some of the older guys who were struggling early in the year are starting to pick back up. It is fun to see Jock Peterson swing out of his shoes at a
Yes.
baseball. Sometimes he hits a laser and the ball, you can't see it. He hits it so hard. And sometimes he swings right through it and he looks off balance and everything. But you got guys like JD Davis. JD Davis came off the bench to hit a grand slam in that crazy win against the Dodgers. And
That was
slowly but
awesome.
surely, I know he's hampered a little bit with is it a leg or a foot?
It's his ankle. It was nasty slide into third base. It kind of tweaked his ankle pretty badly.
But he is hitting 287 with 10 bombs, and he leads the team in RBI, having a very strong year. I think if you said before the season started that JD would be at 10 and 40, with a couple weeks left into the All-Star break, we would have said, "Oh, we're taking that." Like,
Oh yeah.
absolutely. Even Yastrzemski had 4 home runs last week. He's now up to 10 for the season. Conforto's up to 12. His average is slowly but surely climbing. But he's getting on base decently based off of what his average is. His on base is almost 100 points higher than his average, which is really good. Tyro is still having just the rock solid year. 17 stolen bases. He's got 9 jacks. He's still hitting in the high 280s. Lamont Wade, who got hurt, still getting on base. He's got 47 walks to 49 strikeouts. So this is absolutely a great time to lock in and start checking out the team. you'll still see a little bit of like, oh man, poor Brandon Crawford with the bat, though he's been hitting a lot better in these last couple weeks. And Patrick Bailey it's just fun to watch him play catcher. Somebody said on Twitter that made me laugh. Somebody said, what happened to Brad? There we go. We're bringing Brad back. There you go.
Someday I was going to be too quick with the finger.
So somebody wrote on Twitter the other day that it was sort of written for Patrick Bailey because his initials are PB, and that also stood for Puster Bosey.
Oh no!
So there you go, Patrick Bailey.
Well,
no, but it's just fun to watch him play catcher.
And I was going to say, look at the lineup too. Tonight, you've got 5 players in the lineup with OPSs over 800.
Yeah.
I mean, when was the last time we could say that? I mean, it's been a few years. So this is it's a potent lineup. It's not just, we keep talking about bullpen, and Giants when they get down 4-0, they have the bullpen to let them get back in it. You don't get back in it without offense. And so all around during this 8-game win streak, it's not just, one aspect of baseball that is doing it for the Giants. It's all aspects: defense, it's hitting, it's pitching. So, I mean, it's just fun to watch all around. So get in there, get to AT&T. I keep preaching that. I'm 4 hours away. I should get there one of these days, but
you haven't been back in a while.
2006. I know. Say what you want, everybody, but it's been a long time. Even during the stretch. Well, during the stretch of the 3 World Series titles in 2010, my kids were 4-2.
Mm-hmm.
In 2012, so you could see, I mean, they were young throughout all 3 of those series. It was really hard. I have lots of pictures of us eating dinner every night in front of the TV during the playoffs and during the World Series. So
yeah, totally. So good stuff. Good stuff's happening. I hope that when we come back next week, we're going to talk about another strong week, another week in which the Giants win more than they lose. And hey, if we're coming back here and we're saying that they're on like a 15-game winning streak or whatever, like
I'll do the podcast without a shirt.
There you go.
If we come back and we haven't lost a game when we do the next, well, actually, I'm not here next week, so that's not fair.
It'll probably be. I'll have another person come help out because you're going to be on a little bit of. Is this the birthday vacation?
This is the Tahoe vacation. So this is the vacation before the I'm turning 50 vacation in Vegas. So this is North Tahoe. So I'll be without a shirt the whole week because I'll be on the beach just hanging out and drinking Corona Lights and Thompson to Clark. So I'll be drinking some T to C's.
There you go.
While I'm hanging out, man. I told my wife, we were at Sam's Club this weekend. I said, get limes. And so she grabbed a bag of limes. I said, no, get 2 bags of limes. and then we got another bottle of Terramana White. So I'm stacked and ready to go.
There you go. All right. Go Giants. We will be here next week. Even though Brad won't, I will have somebody here with us. We're not going to miss a beat. So for Brad, I am Double G. We'll see you when we see you. Peace out.
Peace.